Hey guys, this is how we do 2016 problem number 3. A crossword puzzle grid is a two-dimensional rectangular array of black and white squares. Some of the white squares are labeled with positive numbers according to the crossword labeling rules. So, the way that you are going to label, the only way that you can label a white square with a number, okay? The only way that you could do that with a number is if and only if the square first is white and I need to make sure we emphasize this, and the square does not have a white square immediately above it or does not have a white square immediately to the left of it, or both. So does not have a white square to the left or above it. So here's a two-dimensional array, let's just say. Okay, this is row 0, this is row 1, this is row 2, this is column 0, column 1, column 2, and so on, okay? So, can you guys tell me what doesn't have anything to the left of it, right? What doesn't have anything immediately to the left of it? Well, all of these guys have nothing to the left of it. In other words, column 0 doesn't have no left to it, okay? So that works. And what else doesn't have anything above it? So in this case, these guys don't have anything above it. So that's row 0. So row 0 has nothing, no above it. Well, does anything else help us here? Yeah, let's talk about this. It cannot have a white square above it. No white square above it. In other words, it needs to be a black square above it. So let's say you're here, and this guy here is going to be row 1, column 3. What's above it? Above it is row 0, column 3. In other words, the column stayed consistent, but the row reduced by 1. So in this case, R minus 1, comma, C. But it has to be a black square, right? So let me just do this here, sorry. So it has to be a black square, right? So black square has to be above it because it says no white square above it. So the opposite of white would be black square. Now, here, let's just say, let me get a different color. Here, that's a bad color, sorry. Here is, let's say, row 2, column 2. What's to the left of it? Row 2, column 1. So another thing is the black square can be same row, but column minus 1. So these are your basic 4 options for this guy right here. And the square is white. Well, the opposite would be not black. And the reason why I'm saying that right now before we get into it, I'm assuming everyone read the problem already and they know what parameters are being passed. One of the parameters that's being passed is a black square, okay? So I hope everybody understands these 4 because this is going to help us with part A. So nothing to the left is column 0. Nothing above is row 0. And then these 2 guys must be a black square, okay? Because it says does not have a white square immediately above it or immediately to the left of it. Great. So if you take a look at this, the 8 doesn't have a black square, doesn't have a white square above it or to the left of it. It's a black square above it and a black square to the left of it. The 14, it does have a white square to the left of it, but the question here, I should have emphasized, said the word or. So only one of them has to work for an or statement to be true. So 14 doesn't have above it, so we can label it. 13 doesn't have above it, and it doesn't have to the left of it, okay? 12 does have a white square above it, but it doesn't have to the left of it. 15 does have above it a white square, but doesn't have to the left of it, and so on. If you notice, all of these guys got labeled, And if you notice, all of these guys got labeled. They should, because there's nothing above it or to the left of it. Okay, so I'm assuming everybody read this. There's two classes, a square class and a crossword class, and public class square, and we have a public square boolean is black, which I will need to do or use in part B, so I will do it in the next video so we don't spend so much time in this video. We also have a partial declaration of the crossword class is shown. Okay, but take a look at this. The two-dimensional array puzzle is of type square. Okay, so let's do part A. Part A says write the crossword method to be labeled. The method returns true if the square indexed by row R in column C in a crossword puzzle grid should be labeled with a positive number according to those rules. So the rules are that it must be a white square that you land on, okay, at row R and column C, and above it or to the left of it has to be a black square, or obviously nothing to the left of it or above it will suffice. Okay, so this is going to be the method that we're going to do. Okay, so let's do it. First, let's get a better pen. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to say they're passing through a black square, two-dimensional array that's going to return true or false, okay? But the black square returns true if the square at R and C should be labeled with a positive number. Great. So, first step is going to say not black square at RC, right? If you think about it, that tells you that it's a white square. And, right? And, remember, square is white and we got to watch every word, one or the other. So, R is equal to 0, or C is equal to 0, or, remember, it has to be a black square at R, C minus 1, or it must be a black square at R minus 1 and C. Okay? And then since this is a Boolean, we're going to have to, obviously, this will give you a true false with these ands and ors, but because this is a Boolean, I have a type, I need to return it. So return whatever this answer is. So this will be, this here will say, I'm a white square. So it's basically saying if. You can say if this, return true, else return false. So if it's a white square and the row is either at 0, that means nobody's above it. The column's at 0, which means nobody's to the left. Remember, these are what they're passing in. Or, and these are all ors, so only one of these has to work. Or the square to the left is a black square, or the square above is a black square, just like to the left is a black square or above is a black square. So I hope that made sense. Take your time, pause the video, and this is how you do part A.